I realized there were some things I forgot in the first part of the tutorial in regards to controls. So this is going to be a short part detailing how exactly the modeling controls work. Now, the first thing I usually do is I go into face edit, select the face, and press E to extrude. This is all going to be seen in the next part, but this one's going to be slightly more detailed. Also, you can hold Alt and right click to select a section like that. It doesn't always work on the edge sides, but if there's no face, then it does work. So that can be useful. You can press K to bring up the cutting tool. Create these cuts like this. I only learned that recently. Also, to merge vertices, you press W and go to merge at center, at cursor. Sometimes you get, if you select them individually, you get the options at first and at last. You can also subdivide, let's see, if I subdivided this, it adds more vertices at the center. If you select the whole thing with A selects and deselects the entire thing. You can subdivide it like that, adds more detail, and subdivide smooth. Let's see. Smooth also averages the vertices. Also here on the left side, you usually want to shading smooth. That's usually the shading that you want on the model. Shading flat can look very odd. But sometimes you want the flat shading, and for that you can control which edges take in flat shading by one of these short, I don't know what that is. It's one of these. Also, flip normals is here when you press W, and shade smooth and shade flatter here. And W has a lot of nice convenient things. Anyway, edges, and here you can mark sharp. I guess it's Ctrl+E that brings it up. I could have sworn there was another shortcut, but Ctrl+E, you can mark seams and mark sharps like this, or you can mark the seams from here. The seams are used for UVs, and mark sharp. Over here, there's a modifier, edge split. You want to turn it on sharp edges, and it'll mark the sharp parts. And if you clear it, there's no sharpness. Edge angle marks all the vertical edges, I think. Not entirely sure how it works. I guess it depends on what you have set here, yeah. So you can set it so it sharpens all the vertical edges, all the horizontal edges, whatever. Most of these won't be used very much for Sugar&Spite. Mostly the edge split sometimes, and the armature and mirror tools. The armatures and textures will be talked about in their own separate parts. I'll probably have live commentary just like this one. Duplicate, of course, as a shortcut, Shift+D to join parts together and to separate parts. Also, you can Alt and right click to select like this. You have to right click to select everything because left clicking just moves this thing. This is where the objects you create will spawn. But anyway, you can go mesh vertices and separate shortcut P. Yeah, shortcut P by selection, and it separates it from the rest. Or you can you can Control J to put them back together. Press L to select the part, to select to select links, vertices, and to select the vertex that the cursor is on top of and whatever vertices are linked to it. Or you can just use A to select everything. And if you click remove doubles, I'm pressing L and it's selecting the whole thing and remove the doubles. And that's even more of the basics. This is just a short part to explain the things I missed. I should probably explain these things on the right though. This is the object information. You change the name of the object here. Constraints, constraints are mostly for armatures. You might use these for objects, but they're mostly made for armatures. And the modifiers are made for objects. And I already talked about that. There's none of that, not all that much there. Vertex groups are gonna be important during the rigging. Vertex groups is how you edit the rigging information. Shape keys are important in animation, but since Unity can't read Blender's shape keys, these aren't really going to be important. This is material and this is textures. To make a material, you first add the material, then you add the texture. To add the texture, first you select image, add the image here, then you go UV to make sure it follows the UVs. And then you go to the material to assign its properties, shadeless, etc. Usually, shadeless is probably what it's going to look like in Unity. It might have some shading, so maybe set emit to like 0.5 or something. It's closer to what it'll look like in the actual game. But the lighting engine isn't the same, so you're not going to get all that great of a preview. Of course, Z is to turn wireframe on and off, and these last two aren't going to be used at all for the Sugar&Spite project. If you want to, one last tip, if you want to simplify, like, this isn't something that's going to be used for Sugar&Spite project either, since you're not going to do these for game models, but subdivision surface, that's a lot of details to models. You can come down here, simplify to control all the subdivisions. Makes everything smoother. And I guess that's it.